On today's podcast, we are continuing on with our Women's Entrepreneurial series, and we have another special guest today. So, buckle up, everyone. It's going to be another great interview and another great podcast here on the Family Minded Podcast, which begins and starts right about now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Family Minded Podcast. This is your boy Simbawi Nibaye Jr., aka TK, and it's another lovely Wednesday morning. As you can see, I'm flying solo again, where my co-hosts Omar and Denise Obi have off today, but they'll be joining me again towards the next month for continuation after our Women's Entrepreneurial series. But those of you who know how we do, we jump right in and get things started. But before we do, we are going to get our affirmations in and out the way, because it is Affirmation Wednesday, and whatever day you're watching this or hearing this, it's affirmation that day as well. All right, you guys ready? If you got it memorized or you got it written down or whatever you have, let's get those together. Let's get them in and out of the way. Are you ready? Here we go. Today will be a good day. Today will be a great day. Today will be an awesome day. Today will be an amazing day. Today will be a phenomenal day. Today will be stress-free. Today will be a stress-less day. Today, I will overcome all barriers that want to block my progress. Today, all circumstances, issues, and situations will work in my favor. Today, all things will line up for my good. I will become better than who I was yesterday. I am a go-getter. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I am an overcomer. I never lose. I either win or I learn. I take authority over this day. I will dominate this day. I will conquer this day. And everything I have spoken into this day will happen as I have affirmed, because I am more than a conqueror. Let's get started. So again, this is the Women's Entrepreneurial Series. This is our third year doing this, and it has been incredible. We had last week, our special guest was Miss Noreen Vendries, and this week we have another special guest who is joining us. And before we bring her on, I want to read her bio, and then we will bring her on and we will begin the process of learning more about her story and her business and what she does. So our special guest today hails from Southeast London, via the hills of Jamaica, the heart of the Big Apple, the city of brotherly love, and now the first state, which is Delaware. For those of you who don't know what the first state is, I've had that happen numerous times. Where's the first state? It's Delaware. Her life has been an eclectic mismatch of things she has observed while traveling invisibly. As an introvert, she struggled with finding her place in the world, and so early learned that to put her thoughts on paper, journaling, but before journaling, she loved poetry. She attended Teachers College and later business school, but landed squarely in law, where she worked as a legal practice specialist in corporate litigation for more than 25 years. It was here that she found the desire to observe the beauty of verbosity, having to settle for stark consensuses. She has one beautiful daughter and a family and friends everywhere. With 45 plus journals and counting, COVID-19 was the perfect time for her to revisit journaling, to write down her hopes and her dreams and her fears and pursue the unknown. She also went to social media to invite others to join her on this journey. And after 2.5 years later, numerous friendships formed, businesses launched, births, weddings, funerals, fashion shows, travel, retreats, soul care, self care, prayers, journaling, conversations, and invested personal development. Her business and company continues to thrive, but only by invitation only. Challenge to Change is the business, and it lives on for women mostly, but also building women, building communities, and living life intentionally. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast our special guest for today, Miss Cheryl Gordon. Cheryl, how are you? And welcome to the show.
I'm well. How are you? Thank you very much for having me. I'm well, thank you.
Thank
It's great to
you.
be here today.
Yes, we are very excited to have you. So, for those of you who do not know, Cheryl is the mother of our co-host, Denise Obi. So Denise is not here today, but she is here. Her mother is here as we're interviewing her today for our podcast and continuing on with our series. So, Cheryl, just before we jump into the meat of all this, can you just kind of give us just a little more background on you based off of not just what I read, but a little more background of, not where you're from, how things transpire through your travels, and just where all this kind of started for you with life in general.
Okay. Okay. So I was born in England. Um, Family and I lived in England for a number of years. And then my parents made the decision to return to their homeland somewhere around 1973. So we traveled to Jamaica, and I grew up attending elementary school and high school in Jamaica. It was a rich and rewarding experience, things that live on through my life now and are part of our everyday existence. I also attended college for a little while in Jamaica, and then I traveled. I moved back to England, where I had an older and a younger sibling and lots of relatives. Because if you know, in the West Indies, a lot of West Indian families traveled, moved to England during the Windrush experience,
Mhm.
and my parents were a part of that, and so I had a lot of relatives there. But then things weren't going the way I had expected when I returned at the age of 21 or 22. And so I came to the United States to test the waters.
Mhm.
Um, Found it more accommodating. And I had a lot of friends here. So it was more an environment for someone in their early 20s to thrive, to discover who you are, to dream big, to set goals and get things done. So I decided to move to the United States. And I lived in New York for a long while. And then I moved to Philadelphia. And then I've been in Delaware for just about 17 or more years, which is an experience in itself.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Delaware is a different state as in general outside of Philadelphia, and a lot of people like to say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Philly." I'm like, "Oh, what state is that in?" They're like, because people always think that Philly is a state. No, Philly is a
Yes,
city,
yes.
a state of Pennsylvania. So yeah, but from that big city to the small state of Delaware is a big change, as well as New York as well. And I know your daughter. Always says, "I'm from New York, from New York." And I'm like, "All right, I got you." But she does embrace her Jamaican roots as well, so that's awesome as well. Let's talk about challenge to change, how that came about, what that is for you, and how you go about working that, and how did all of that start and begin.
So, as you mentioned in the bio, that writing is a very big part of my existence. And so in the beginning of COVID-19, I spoke to a friend of mine who's an attorney. He said, whatever it is, find something to do. He said, do something, find something to do. And like in the back of my mind, I was thinking that I would like to start journaling, and gather people into journaling because it's a rich and rewarding experience. You're writing down your thoughts and then you revisit them, and it's also a way to tell whether you've grown, where you're going, and to measure your movement, measure your growth. And so I put something out. I said, I was tentative about it, but I put a post out on Instagram about self-care and reflection because COVID-19, everybody was isolated inside the house. We were dealing with so many unknowns. So I thought that what if we were to gather, a group of people who gather together online through a Zoom, whatever portal we decided to use, and have discussions and see where we are mentally, emotionally, physically, and see if we could be like a support system for each other. So I put out a flyer about self care and reflection, and that amazing clarity comes when we write down our thoughts. And no one responded. People liked it, but no one responded saying, yeah, I'm in. And I put the date. So this was around July 2020. I put this out and that we were going to begin a 5-day journaling challenge in August. Nobody said yes.
Mm.
So I was like really nervous about that. But instead, I said, let me pick up the phone and call people. Because having lived in Philadelphia, lived in New York, lived in England, and with a huge family, and my oldest brother and my sister, they're like influencers, more outgoing, and me being introverted, sorry. I knew a lot of people. So I say, what if I made the most of that? So I picked up the phone and I remember the first person that I called. And she said, this sounds really interesting. I'll be there. And I called the second person, and some people took a little bit more convincing than others, but people showed up.
Mm.
People showed up. And that first night, it was a 5-day journaling challenge on self-care. So we talked about mental self-care, emotional, physical, where you were spiritually, where you were emotionally, where you were career-wise, and everybody bought in then. And that 5-day journaling challenge, we even talked about music, how music affects our lives, how music affects our moods, the things that we can use to bring us into a better space and place. And people connected within the group, and it just burst and grew into something more. So at the end of that 5 days, I said, okay, we'll do this again. And we did it again in September. And after September, like people started reaching out to me saying that we want more of this. We need more of this because it's helping us. And why can't we meet once a month? Why can't we meet every week? And all these suggestions came forth, but I didn't run with it because I wanted to be not something that's, like something that starts overnight, just bursts and erupts and then it dies. I didn't want that experience. And I prayed about it for a little while.
Mm.
And then one Saturday morning, one of my friends called me. She was living in Florida at the time, and we were talking, and I had a burst say, what about challenge to change? Because the whole essence of our meeting and writing and self-care, journaling and reflection is about change and creating lasting change for each of us and being support to each other. And it was born on paper that Saturday in 2021.
Wow. That's a really interesting story. I like how it started with a challenge, a 5-day challenge, which I've been of some 5-day challenges that some that were good, some that were not. And but it's awesome how you kind of wanted it to kind of like simmer slowly and not just burst into this, oh, everyone's excited about it, and then it just, oh, I'm not excited anymore. So it kind of left some suspense, but also it kind of let people want to, here's a little taste. I will come back later. We'll do a little more taste. So it just be kind of, and then it's just started catching fire. And that's an amazing thing because I applaud you because you didn't choose to just say, all right, let's just go explode and just get big. You allowed it to just slowly gain steam. And now we're in 2023 and this is still continuing on. And I'm sure that the company and group has grown tremendously since then. And thank you so much for sharing that because a lot of people get discouraged when they first begin out and no one responds. And it's like, well, I guess it's not meant for me to do it. It's like, well, no, what all have you done to actually get the word out? Like what all exhaust all of your options. And you continue to do that. You were determined because you knew that this was something that you should be doing and that maybe you were even called or created to do. So we applaud you for doing that, Cheryl. I want to something that you said about how you called on family members. You called on your brother, you said. And I know that a lot of people in business, when they're starting something, whether it's something that's, whether it's network marketing or it's just an actual business, a corporate business, or something that you do that you're talented at, the first thing we normally do is we call on family members. Is what we do. And family, a lot of times can be difficult because they don't really see the same time, not only seeing what we see, but they also may not be as enthusiastic because it's kind of like, oh, well, that's just my sister or that's just my brother. I'm just helping them out, but they, aren't really as enthusiastic about it. How was Describe how your brother was and how instrumental he was in helping you get started doing this.
I was coached and mentored for 1 year by a friend on the a wise friend about working on the in the online space. Now I have a brother, my oldest brother, who is on social media, who is a speaker. He lives in England, and he's very savvy when it comes to software management and that kind of thing. So he website development. So he was always pushing me. He always tried to push me to do something, to do something more. Just like the friend who told me in the beginning of before I started telling to change to find. It was a friend who said, "Do something, try something, find something." So between that friend, the attorney, between my friend Jennifer who coached me, and between my brother Alex, I pulled the knowledge that they'd given to me, all the information that they provided me with, and I started small and created something that was doable for me because it had to be something that I would be able to manage on a daily, weekly basis, whatever it was I chose to do, and without needing to initially lay out a lot of money. So the information I was given, I used Zoom. I thought that was the best platform available for me to develop and to build the organization. So it was actually three people's inspirations: my brother, my friend, the attorney who's like a son to me, and my friend for her 1 year of coaching with helping me trying to figure out my niche and space and what it is that I had to offer.
That's good. That's awesome. Well, again, I'm glad your brother, with all his knowledge, is able to help and assist, and then coaching too. So we're gonna just briefly just talk about that because one for me, I do parenting coaching, I do youth mentoring, and I also have mentors of my own. And I've always stressed that having a mentor or someone to coach you along is very important because you need someone like when you kind of run out of motivation, and I always say motivation gets things started, but inspiration keeps things going. Determination makes it a legacy. That's kind of what I say. And so you need someone there to continue to push you, to encourage you, and also someone that can tell you what not to do, what to do, and to learn from their mistakes so that you don't make the same mistakes that they made, But you are going to make mistakes because you have your own mistakes to make because you need to continue to learn. But you're going to have to fall in those same pitfalls that someone else came into. And so mentorship is important. And I'm pretty sure what you're doing with Challenge to Change is also a form of mentorship to other women to help them in their daily lives and to become all it is that they're created and meant to be. So we're going to take a brief break right now. When we come back with Cheryl, we're going to talk about some of her struggles she's had to go through to get through either in her personal life or her business life, because we all know that trials and tribulations make good stories, but struggles make great stories. So we're going to talk about that when we get back, and we're also going to get into some last thoughts that Cheryl wants to leave with you guys before we go. Frame My Name podcast. We'll be right back. Are you looking for an apparel company that's positive, uplifting, and truly cares about you? Then look no further. Frame of Mind Inc., an apparel brand company, impresses on individuals to think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. Get positive apparel, such as t-shirts, hoodies, and wristbands for children, teens, and adults in various colors and sizes. Customized services include logo and t-shirt design, screen printing for individuals, families, schools, profit, and nonprofit organizations. You can reach Frame of Mind Inc. at 302-689-3499 or visit their website at www.frameofmindinc.com. Frame of Mind Inc. Think it, speak it, achieve it. All right, everyone, we are back with our interview with Ms. Cheryl Gordon, who is the founder of Challenge to Change. Before we left, we were talking about how all that got started and what all she has done according to all she's done from her beginning of her journey up till now. And that journey is still moving. That company and business is still thriving. But now we're going to talk about some things that everyone needs to hear, which are some struggles that Cheryl has been through. So, Cheryl, tell us some of your struggles you've gone through, whether personally or in business, or how they even correlate together to kind of share with our audience that everything wasn't just walking through the tulips and everything was just fine and great and never let us know some of the things you've had to go through to get where you are today.
So, as a single parent living in New York, the struggle was real. Okay. Childcare, and everybody knows how expensive that can be. I worked in the city, so transportation, train, that was like 2 hours commute per day, just to and from work, or 2.5, depending on traffic, and depending on what was going on any given day of the week. So the childcare expenses were real, living space, and all of that stuff. So in order to do that, I thrive to find the people to help me to get to a better place. But one of the things that I encountered, and I know in hindsight, you can ask the right questions, but you can be asking the wrong people the right questions. And if you're asking the wrong people the right questions, you still don't have any answers. Okay. So that was my journey of struggle, was mainly as a parent, in the space of being a good parent, developing as a person, as an individual, and as a mother, and maintaining relationships and friendships around me, and still holding on to the things that were my dreams. So those were some of my biggest struggles, just becoming, the work of becoming who I really was meant to be. And that was one of the main reasons why I decided to do Challenge to Change, because I can help other people or steer them to ask the right questions of the right people. So a lot of the time, we don't have a framework for healthy. We have a framework of struggle. We have a framework of what we've been through, but not the healthy aspect of it. We know what we've been through. We've struggled in relationships. We've struggled in career development. We've struggled financially. But if we have the language of healthy in those areas, emotional health, spiritual health, financial health, um, a growth mindset, then if we have the definition of healthy, then we can live better lives. So in Challenge to Change, we work on finding the description of healthy and helping others to walk their journey. So in the group, we have women who have started businesses. So we act as a support system to each other. We talk a lot about what a growth mindset look like, so what a healthy mindset looks like, what the power of the other, developing great friendship circles, recognizing all the characteristics that you'll find there, and to find the ones that you want to put in your inner circle. We talk about boundaries, all these different things that help form the framework of healthy living.
Mm.
So, based on my struggles and the life that I lived and what I didn't have, I used the opportunity to help others. And we also offer a platform that, whatever your area of expertise is, whether you're a relationship coach, whether you're an entrepreneur with an online business, hair care, clothing, whatever it is, whether you're a mediator or an attorney or whatever it is, we come together and we use what resources we have, our inner resources, to build each other and give us a start and a framework to go out to look for the more and the better and go from there.
Wow, that's amazing. I love everything you said about how you guys have that community and how you are even letting people who not letting, but allowing people to come in who have their own businesses to use that as like a directory. I have to be honest, I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not a part of this community, but I know it's a women thing, and I think it's incredible because it's one of the reasons why we started this women's entrepreneurial series is to highlight women who are in business, who are doing incredible things, who may be either looked over or may not be getting the same, highlights that men are getting. And so we wanted to make sure that we highlight that. And so I love the fact that you guys are dealing with the mindset of these women, and helping them to go from where they are or where they were to where they're going to be or where they are now. And I think that's an amazing thing because, again, what you're doing is it's a lot of mentorship. You have gone through some things in your life, and you're able to give back to those women to say, hey, look, I've been here, I've done that, I can help you get where it is you're trying to go, where you want to be. And I think that's an amazing thing. I do want to ask this one question, and I know that you said that you're originally from London. You also were in Jamaica. Could you just talk a little bit about how life was there growing up when you were in London and Jamaica? You touched on it a little bit earlier. Is there any more in-depth details you could give us about growing up in London and in Jamaica as well?
Before I say that, I would like to let you know that a lot of the times the husbands or fiancés or boyfriends do try to ear hustle on the Challenge to Change conversations. And they do give their testimonials about, the changes that they see in their households based on what's going on. And they do try to hop in and offer their perspectives from time to time. So I just wanted to let you know that.
I will
Okay.
have to, I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna sneak in one of those ones and be like, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. So growing up in Jamaica, like, everybody says their culture is rich, but Jamaicans like to believe that they have the richest culture ever, the most dominant and rewarding culture ever. The music, the dance, the food, the fruits, the way of living, the language. Yeah, man, easy man,
Yeah,
take it
man.
easy, star. Just all the little things. I know everybody knows about Bob Marley, but the other artists like Barris Hammond, like Taurus Riley, and I'm just giving you my favorites. Jimmy Cliff, who's well known for The Harder They Come. Just the music, it's like a part of your bones and your living and the community. Like growing up for me in Jamaica, Like going to school in the morning, you had to tell everybody good morning, regardless of whether that person was down and out or wealthy. You had to say good morning, Mr. So and so, good morning, Miss, and you had to be cheerful, and it was such a part of way of life. I still do it now. I do it at work in the office when I go in. I like to say good morning and hello because that's a way to impact somebody's day. I mean, I thought it was annoying as a child that I had to do this to everybody, but as an adult, I see the effect that it has in building relationship and in getting to know other people. So there was that at school walking. I remember like when it was hurricane season growing up, and then you weren't going to school, the family would be at home, everybody. I remember the cooking. I remember my father's stories, my mother's stories, such comfort, such warmth, and such good food, your curry chicken, your fried dumpling, your ackee and your saltfish, whatever it
Yeah.
is, and the drinks, all that kind of things. In London now, not I remember as a little girl going to school in London. Okay, it may be bad that I'm saying this, but the major thing that I remembered about school as a little girl in London is the afternoon snack, the milk. Every day you had milk. So they had the milkman who drives around and delivers milk to the family. And I remember the milk and the cookies in the afternoon. That's my greatest memory of school growing up in England, and walking home at lunchtime for lunch, and my mom preparing tomato soup with a sandwich for lunch, and then going back to school, and the laughter and the play, but it was a different way of life, really different from Jamaica. And so we were in a tight knit community where we went to church on Sundays growing up, and the family did everything together. So, like that.
Got you. So I pinpointed a few things you said. So as far as London goes, you said you would go home for lunch and then go back to school. Very interesting because I've only known eat everything being done at school. You eat lunch. You can actually even get breakfast at school if you want to. You get lunch. Now, of course, dinner you're going home, but to be able to go home for lunch, I would have loved. Now, I was too far away to go home, but I would have loved to have gone home and gotten some lunch and then go back to school. And then you said for Jamaica. Now, I've been to Jamaica twice. I've been to Ocho Rios for my honeymoon 15 years ago, and then I've been to oh my gosh, where was it that I went to? It begins with
Grill, Montego Bay.
Montego Bay. That's what it was. Montego Bay. I went there 2 years ago. I was in Montego Bay, and for me personally, the things that I love about Jamaica. I've never been to London. I do plan on going, but the things I love about Jamaica is that number one, I absolutely love the juice, the fresh squeezed juices. They are number one on my list. I don't care where you go or where you've been. So far, Jamaica has the best juice I've ever had in my life. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I love the hospitality. I love how they're just so hospitable. And for those of you who don't know or have never been to Jamaica, I will verify for you right now. Everything, and I mean everything, is Yaman. Okay, everything is Yaman. Okay, it is not something that we make fun of or just say because it's Jamaican. No, that's what they say over there on a consistent basis. That's who they are. That is their staple, their stamp. Yaman. And then the third thing I'll say is just a matter of how beautiful and open things are. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're driving through, one of the rough areas of Jamaica or you're on the beach. Like everything is just open. It's out there. The skies are beautiful. The water is beautiful. And it's a very, as you say, it's a very rich culture out there. Now, I can't vouch and say that it's the richest culture, but I know that for me being there, I've seen how things go and how things operate. And so I can definitely say that I can see why Jamaicans would say they have the richest culture because I've been amongst it, and I have seen it. So I can very well take attest to that. Um, before we end out here, I just want to ask. We talked about some of your struggles that you've been through. Tell our listeners and our viewers uh, how you got through. those struggles you have been through? How did you get through? What were some of the things you've done other than asking people questions to get answers? Was there anything else you did outside of that to get through some of those struggles you have been through?
So there's I have a relationship with God. So prayer is a big part of my existence, studying the word of God and living by the principles of scripture. In addition, along the way I found mentors and coaches that were fully vested in my development. And so a lot of the times we we tend to stay with a particular coach or mentor, but we need mentors and coaches for every area and aspect of our lives. And it's finding the right one. So those were part of the things that helped me to get into a better place and to recognize that things will always happen in life. Things will always happen to each and every one of us, but it's perspective that makes the difference. It's using the experience. You know, in one of the affirmations you said, I never fail, you know, I win or I learn. So using our experiences as learning tools, using them, picking them apart. So journaling is good. So you can write down this happened, this ABC, and figure out why did this happen, you know, and how do I position myself for this not to happen again? And what do I need to change in terms of mindset and accountability to get to a better place? So for me, I remember like there's people that I know God definitely placed in my life, like the Lows and the Mallorys and the Whitfields, that even in my darkest moments of journeying, because they help carry me. They help carry me. And so even at the time I remember losing my job and losing almost everything that I had. It was relationships and friendships that carried me and helped me to push me to a better place. And the thing about our struggles, they make us relatable. So we can never not talk about them or hide from them. They make us relatable and help us to help somebody else. So, for example, in the Challenge to Change community, there was a we have people in the Islands, in England, in Jamaica, in different states throughout the United States. So a young lady in New York introduced somebody in Texas to another person in the group who's in Texas, who they'd never, three of them, three of them had never really met before or didn't have a relationship. And the person in Texas became respite and refuge for the young lady she was introduced to in Texas, and to help her steer her, help her put her in a better place, you know? So it didn't happen like that for me when I was going through, but to be able to facilitate it for somebody else, you know? Lots of people are trying to develop businesses, to build businesses, but they don't have the connections. So to have somebody else that can introduce them to somebody else or to show up in a group for that person makes a world of a difference. I'll say this one thing and then I'll stop. The other day, one of the ladies got there. Oh, one member of the group is getting married today. So I'm going to, I have to, I'm attending by Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all going to show up in a little while later on today. Earlier in March, one of the girls in the group, she got married in New York City. There were I think like 12 of us from Challenge to Change at her wedding.
Wow.
12 of us, people from Texas, from Maryland, from wherever they are, they came to support and to bring love and joy and warmth and sisterhood and just the whole spirit of brethren, you know? And they'll
Wow.
know we are Christians by our love.
Mm. Wow. That's amazing. That's community right there. You know, and that's one of the things that makes Challenge to Change special. It makes it unique, that the women are encouraging each other, and they're, showing up for each other. And, you're showing up by Zoom today for this wedding. That's a huge deal. I personally, I've never heard someone showing up via Zoom for a wedding, personally. But that's the kind of tight knit community that you guys have. It's a special bond, and that's amazing, and I love that. Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us today on the Frame Money podcast. Before you go, two things. I want you to let everyone know how they can contact you or be a part of Challenge to Change. Women out there who would like to be a part of that, so if they can find you, on social media or via email, however they can contact you and be a part of that, let them know that. That'd be the first thing, and then the last thing I'd like you to do is to just leave just a final thought with our audience that you want them to just remember as we exit out of here today. So first of all, where they can contact you, how they can be a part of Challenge to Change if they would like to be.
If you want to be a part of Challenge to Change, it generally happens by invitation only. But if you'd like to be a part of Challenge to Change, you can contact me at 954-507-2029. Challenge to Change, 954-507-2029. Or I'm going to give you my email address, cgordon, CGORDON 541@gmail.com. We don't have a huge online presence right now because it's people's emotions and relationships and thoughts. We're very protective of that. So you can call me at 954-507-2029 or reach out to me by email at cgordon541@gmail.com, and we'll talk. I want to say thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you, Frame of Mind. I love that frame of mind perspective, developing minds. I love the thought of this podcast and what you're doing, bringing people together and building people. I like all the eclectic, beautiful things that Frame of Mind podcast does. You speak about sports, you speak about all the areas you operate from, deal with the frame of mind, which is so important because everything starts with a frame of mind. So I want to thank you for having me here today. Thank you for the opportunity that you present for my daughter to grow and develop her frame of mind too. And my parting thought is that we are stronger and better together. So recognize the giftings and the talents that we have. Find the people that we need to build community and be better together. Thank you.
Amen and amen. So guys, just in case you were trying to write the number down or get the email, we'll put all that in the notes section. So don't worry, that will be there. So you can go back, you can get the number, you can get the email, and we'll also put just, any other links in there that we need to put in there. So don't worry, you will have and get that. Thank you, Cheryl Gordon. We appreciate you. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for sharing Challenge to Change with us. And we'll be talking to you again soon. Thank you very much. All right, everyone. That's today's show. Continue to think it, speak it, and achieve it. And don't forget, next week we will have another guest here as we continue our Women's Entrepreneurial series. So join us next week for that. And until then, I holla. Thank you for joining the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. And as always, here at Frame of Mind Inc., think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. As our tagline says, think it, speak it, achieve it. See you next time.
It's a frame of mind. It's what you say and what you do.
Don't forget to check us out on the web at www.frameofmindinc.com, where you can browse our online apparel store, listen to some of our original music and production services, as well as view our videos and projects we've done for our clients and customers.